excited to be here. One, South Africa is on the top of my bucket list. We've traveled all over the world and we have not made it to South Africa yet. So I'm really hoping that some of you really need to see me in person. So I'm hoping that I'll get there soon. But I've heard the most incredible things about you all from Drew. And I think that you all will agree with me. You're in the greatest hands with Drew and Brandon. If NeoLife North America could grab Drew and Brandon, they would steal them from you in a heartbeat. So thank you so much, Drew. Now, is there anything else that you want to say, or you want me to just dive in?
No, you go straight into it.
All right. So I'm super excited to be here with you today. When Drew asked me if I would come on, I immediately said yes. It is something that I love, being able to meet the people in the field. I'd love even more to get to meet you all in person. So hopefully we can hug one day. But I want to tell you just really quickly exactly what Drew said. I am a distributor at heart. I built a business along with my husband, and we loved what we did. You know, we never woke up one day and said, oh, I want to sell vitamins. You know, that wasn't how it happened. But we were approached one day and someone wanted to sell us some products, but we didn't have enough money to buy the products. You know, it was about $200. And I told them, we don't have the money to buy $200 worth of products. My husband is military, and I was a personal trainer and massage therapist. And when that person approached me, she thought I would love the products because I worked out a lot. But what she didn't know was she couldn't see inside the four walls of our home. She had no idea that she was approaching me only about the products, when in reality, I needed the income side of direct sales. So while she was telling me about the products, I was ignoring everything she was saying because I didn't have the extra money. But she made a mistake and said she had made money selling these products. That was all I needed to hear. And I said, wait. You're telling me that if I get started on these products and I prove to people that they work, I can make money when they get started? And she said, yes. That's all I needed to hear. I didn't have the money to buy the products, but I found way more money to be able to dive in and start a business with the hope of being able to get out of our current situation, to get out of where I felt like we were living paycheck to paycheck, where every night when I laid down in bed, it felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest because I didn't know how we were going to pay the bills. And if something came out of nowhere, if we had some sort of unexpected expense, I didn't know how we were going to be able to make it. So I saw this opportunity, and I also saw a quote that I want to tell you about. I've got a picture of it, but I won't share my screen. I'll send it to Drew after the call. But the quote said, the most dangerous risk of all is the risk of spending your life not doing what you want on the bet that you can buy yourself the freedom to do it later. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because that's exactly what we were doing. We were living our life thinking that if we just kept working as hard as we could, that when we got to retirement, we would have enough money to retire. And that when we got to retirement, we'd be able to walk the beaches of the world together, that we would be able to afford tickets to the sporting events that we like, that we'd be able to afford a house on the water. We were not getting any closer to any of those dreams. We were just betting that we were going to be able to buy ourselves the freedom to do it later. And that is not a safe bet. It is the most dangerous risk of all. And that it hit me like a ton of bricks that we had to do something different. And I knew that the average millionaire had 8 streams of income. We only had 2. We had my job and we had my husband's job, but we couldn't go get another full-time job. We had to have something that would work into the nooks and crannies of our life, that we could work at our lunch break, at night, on the weekends. And that's where direct sales fit in perfectly. We knew that if we put the products into our bodies and we became our own walking billboards that we could show people that the products worked and we could make money. We could actually build a business here. And that is exactly what we did. And it changed our entire life. I do remember telling my husband this. He said, he did not want to do this, right? He did not want to sell anything because we're not salesmen. He didn't want to do this. And I remember telling him that if we don't do something, we're not going to be able to walk the beaches of the world until we're 65. And right then we weren't even 30, right? Or I guess we were 30. Sorry, we were in our 30s. And I said, honey, I really think that we should try this, because if we can bring in an extra stream of income, we can walk the beaches of the world right now. And I'm going to look way better in a bikini at 35 than I'm going to look at 65. And I believe that's the reason that my husband said yes to building a business. It was just me in a bikini on a beach. But we built a business. We were able to start traveling, which is our passion. We've been to over 50 countries. I don't know how in the world we've missed South Africa. I think because the plane ride is so long, but we've not been there yet, but I'm going to come see you guys. And we've walked the beaches of the world together, but not just that. The most extraordinary thing that happened in our life was when this community of people entered our lives. Because when this community of people entered our lives, it upped our game. Because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Your income is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And our average was low because we were not spending our time around people that talked about growth and development and leadership. We were spending our time around people that talked about debt and talked about sickness and illness and talked about not having money and not achieving their dreams and hating their jobs. We upped our game when this community came into our life. And all of a sudden, we upped our game. We became better parents. We became better spouses. We became better leaders. We became better speakers. And we were able to move into a space in our life to where we started getting to make choices. You know, like we had bought ourselves the freedom to make choices, because that's exactly what I think freedom is. And I think freedom is something that you all need to identify for yourself individually. But when I define freedom, to me, it's the ability to do what I want with my time and what I want with my money. If I can do what I want with my time and what I want with my money, I have freedom. That's my definition. And that's exactly what happened when we started a business here. We were able to buy back our time and buy back our freedom. And the way that I describe it to people is when direct sales came into our life, it was like we were in a dark hallway and we were working towards the light at the end of the hallway. And the light at the end of the hallway was retirement. And we were working our way there, and we're working really hard. But that was the only way out. That was the only way that we knew to get out of the dark hallway and to get to where we wanted to go, which was into the light. When direct sales came into our life, it just simply flipped on the light switch in the hallway. And all of a sudden, we're standing in the light and we see that there are all of these doors and all of these windows in the hallway. Like the doors and the windows were just choices. We had choices all along, but we were so in the dark and we were so working hard every day that we couldn't see that we had choices. We couldn't see that there were other paths to get us where we wanted to go. So when direct sales came into our life, it flipped the light switch on in the hallway and we saw doors and windows. And we decided, hey, let's look outside this door. Let's look outside this window and see where it takes us. And what we saw was it was a shorter path to where we wanted to go. It was a shorter path to retirement. It was a shorter path to time freedom. It was a shorter path to being able to pay off our debt. So we just simply crawled out the window and took the shorter path. And that was the day that I realized what direct sales is truly. It is just simply an accelerator. It is an accelerator that can help you get where you want to go faster. And our products are just accelerators. They're accelerators that help you get to your health goals faster and easier. we don't have to stay in these dark hallways. We don't have to stay in a dark hallway of bad health. We don't have to stay in a dark hallway of debt. And that's exactly where we were at the time. This industry has allowed us to, my favorite thing, I guess I'll say, is it's allowed us to be the loudest voices in our children's ears during the most formidable years of their life, which in the US is middle school. I don't know what middle school is like in South Africa, but it is not a picnic over here. All of those shows that you see about terrible kids in school, those are true. So what we decided to do, because we had time freedom and we had financial freedom at this time, we decided to move into an RV and we traveled around our country for 3 years. We were able to see the entire United States, which was something we had never done. We had traveled to 50 other countries and we had never traveled around our own country. But by moving into that RV and traveling around the country with our preteen and teen kids, it allowed us to be the loudest voices in their heads during a time that they don't really know who they are. You're just figuring yourself out. But in middle school, that's when all the kids are telling you who you are. We got to be the loudest voices in their heads. They got to have a front row seat to hard work because we were working so hard. And anyone that tells you that direct sales and this business is easy has never built a business here. It is not easy, but it's worth it. And, I hear a quote all the time where people say, if the why is big enough, the how becomes easy. I don't think that is true. So I'm sorry if anybody's told you that on this call today before I joined in. But I believe if the why is big enough, the how becomes worth it. So follow me on this. If your children are in a burning building, is it going to be easy for you to run in and get them and save them? No. But is it going to be worth it? Absolutely. You're going to run in and save them without ever thinking about yourself because the why was big enough. So the how became worth it. That is exactly the same thing in this business. The why is big enough. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. If you've got the vision, if you know what you're working toward and you're willing to get to work, it will still be difficult, but it will be so worth it. Our children got to see us working hard and succeeding, but they also got to see us work hard and fall flat on our faces. They saw us set goals and achieve them. They saw us set goals and not achieve them. But the best thing they saw was when we failed, we got back up again. It wasn't the amount of times we fell, it was the amount of times we got back up. I know that Nelson Mandela said something like that. I'm just butchering his quote, but you know what I mean. They got to see hard work is worth it. And like having dreams are worth it. They got to see us dream for the first time in our life because before direct sales came into our life, we did not dream. We didn't surround ourselves with dreamers and we never dreamt because it was a waste of time. Like we didn't think we were going to get there for so long that it was just a waste of time. But I want to tell you that I'm so thankful that we took the risk on ourselves and decided to put in a whole lot of work. And we fixed the roof of our financial house before it started to rain. Because if you fast forward, our company decided to change everything and our business got ripped out from underneath us with no notice. We were invited on a 3-minute Zoom call and we lost our entire business. But because of this industry, we had fixed everything. We had paid off our debt. We had put ourselves into a good place financially. So when that happened, we didn't lose our home. We didn't go without food on the table. We had fixed the roof before the storm came. We had dug the well before the drought came. And that is what this industry and this business is for a lot of people. Some of you are okay financially. You don't have an elephant sitting on your chest at night like I did, but you may only have one income. And in this day and age, it's a little iffy to only have one income, right? So bringing in an extra stream just helps you to cushion the fall if something were to happen. If the rug is ripped out from underneath you, it gives you a cushion. You can dig the well before you need it. I've never heard anybody of having too much money and too much security. And I think that is where this business comes in so great. You don't have to quit your day job to be able to build this. You can build this in your spare time if you're willing to put it in. Now, if you have a day job and you say you're building this in your spare time, but you're really not doing anything, it's obviously not going to pay you, because this is not some funky scheme. This is a work program. And if you work, you will be paid. If you move products into the marketplace, you will be paid. And what is beautiful about NeoLife is that the corporate side formulates the products. We ensure the safety and the efficacy of the products. We ship the products for you, and we write your paychecks. Everything after that is up to you. That is both a beautiful burden and a beautiful blessing, right? It is a blessing that you are in business for yourself, but never by yourself. But it's a glorious burden on your shoulders that we can't do it for you. It is the glorious burden of knowing that if you get to work, you can work this in any way you want. If you want to do an event every night of the week, you can. But if you want to just do events, really great events on Saturdays, and you do phone calls all through the week to pack them in on Saturdays, you can do that. You have the freedom of running your own business here. But you don't have the freedom from responsibility of running your own business. Because if you're not getting paid, it's just always going to be you looking in a mirror and asking yourself, what is it that I could do better? And I think as leaders, I fell into this trap too, because believe me, I'm talking to us. It's called the Neo stare, where you're just staring at your computer and you're just staring, hoping that the numbers are going to change, but you're not doing anything about it. You're just staring at it, hoping that somebody's going to put in an order. But we get into that groove to where we're hoping someone else is going to do something. And we get out our magnifying glass and we start looking at our downline. And we're like, well, if so-and-so would just do it, they could do this in their sleep. So-and-so has everything it takes to build this business. And if so-and-so would just show up to events, and if so-and-so would just invite people to events, we could all move forward. I want to challenge you, leaders. We've got to turn that magnifying glass into a mirror, because it's always on us. If you ever find yourself digging through your downline and asking why someone else is not doing something, you've got to turn that magnifying glass into a mirror and ask yourself what you're doing. What are you modeling? How can you be better? Because half of this business is our own personal growth and our own personal development. Very little is knowing about the products and knowing about the compensation plan. The majority of this business is growing ourselves and being someone worth following, being someone that people can look to in a time of crisis, being someone that is worthy of being called a leader in NeoLife. So I just want to close today by saying that I think I believe, or I know that one of our main purposes in leading a business here in NeoLife is to cast vision. And some of us have been doing this for so long. Like, I've been in direct sales 20 years, right? And I've been doing it so long that sometimes I get bored with the fundamentals, right? Maybe you've done the same presentation for 20 years and you're like, I just got to shake it up because I'm getting bored. But the day that you get bored with the fundamentals, that's the day that your business starts to slide. Because remember that your fundamental presentation is always fresh and it's always new to the new person. And we owe them consistency. We owe them a great presentation every time. So when you get bored, dive into the basics, dive into the fundamentals. And one of the fundamentals here at NeoLife is casting a vision. Because as a leader, if you cannot cast the vision for where you're going, where the company's going, where this business could take someone, you're going to have a hard time bringing on true business builders that want to get in the trenches and get to work and really put in the work to build here. If they only see that first paycheck that they get, they may look at it and think, this is not worth the time that I put in. So we've got to be experts at guiding them to the next logical step. And we've got to be better than great at casting vision. So I just want to leave you with sort of this analogy. If I were to tell you to picture a waterfall, I want everybody to picture a waterfall. Like, what do you see in your head? You got your waterfall? Okay. Some of you pictured a waterfall that you've seen that's maybe, down the road from your house. Some of you pictured like an emoji waterfall that you use on your phone. Some of you pictured, a little waterfall that's just, streaming down into a creek. Some of you pictured a gigantic waterfall, maybe that you've seen on movies like Game of Thrones or something, right? A huge waterfall. But now I want to tell you about the waterfall that I've seen and that we're going to. So the waterfall that I've seen, it has to be 6 stories high. It's huge. And it's in Iceland. So my family and I, we love Iceland. It's one of our very favorite places that we've ever been. And I mean, it's like the land of waterfalls, right? So this waterfall was gigantic. It was like 6 stories high. It flowed. The sound of that waterfall would put me to sleep, right? The sound of falling water is the thing that just puts me right to sleep. But so 6 stories, and it ended in this gorgeous pool of crystal clear water that just, if it had not been freezing in Iceland, would make you just want to dive in and swim. But then behind the waterfall, it was all of this lush, beautiful greenery. It was just one of the prettiest places that I've ever been in my life. And it was absolutely worth the hike to get there. You see, what I just did was I told you a place that was hard to get to, but totally worth it. So if I was your tour guide, I was your hike guide, and we met at the beginning of the trail and I was like, hey, we're going to a waterfall. It's going to be hard. Let's go. Does that really motivate you to like follow me? Maybe you're like, okay, well, I want to see a waterfall. I'm picturing an emoji waterfall. I'm going to follow you. But in the middle of the hike, when it got hard, would you keep going if I just said, hey, it's pretty? You got to go. Like, you know what waterfalls look like. Let's go. You're liable to quit when it got hard and go back home. But if I start the hike by telling you what that waterfall looks like, and throughout the hike, I just keep saying, it's better than you ever imagined. It's bigger than you ever imagined. You don't want to quit. Quitting now would be such a travesty, because when you get there, you're going to be so thankful that you didn't quit along the way. Let's go. And then when it gets hard, I lock arms with you and I help you get up the mountain. I help you get where we're going. That's the job of a true leader, is to cast the vision in the beginning, from the beginning, and then stick to that vision throughout the hard times. And when it is hard, you dive in harder with them and you help them to move along. You don't leave them when it gets hard and say, well, I guess you just don't want it bad enough. Maybe they want it bad enough. They just don't know where they're going because the vision was never cast properly. So you may be saying, hey, NeoLife's the best thing since sliced bread. You got to do this. But what does that really mean to them? Because I'll tell you what I see here. I see incredible products. I see the best products that I've ever seen in the industry. They are the safest. They're the most effective. And people love them. When people get started on our products, they don't want to leave. I see a lucrative pay plan that if you have the vision and you know where you're going, you can look to your diamonds. You can look to your world team and see that none of them are quitting because they have made it past the hump. They've made it to the place to where the work that they put in absolutely was worth it. So look at their example. This pay plan will compensate you richly for the work that you put in. I see unmatched culture and community. You all are phenomenal. Like, you love what you do. You love helping people. It is the key to the business because everyone, no matter what country you're from, desires to be part of something bigger than what they are. And this community inspires that growth. And then last but not least, you've got incredible leadership in Kendra and the rest of the corporate staff, not me, but the rest of the corporate staff. You've got incredible leadership. Like, Kendra is wise and strong and kind. She is honest. And if you've got great products, a great compensation plan, a great community, and then you've got great leadership, There's nothing that we cannot do together. And I have been a part of a company that was the size of NeoLife when I first got started. And when we were finished, it was almost $1 billion company just in the US alone. Almost $1 billion just in the US alone. So I have seen what you're seeing right now. I've stood at the beginning of the trailhead, but I've also seen the waterfall. I've made it there already. And it is better than you ever imagined. It's incredible. The journey will be tough at times. There's no way that I could tell you that it's not, but it is going to be better than you ever imagined. And I truly believe that if you just stick and stay, it's closer than you think. If you just put in the work now, that waterfall, your future, your vision of what NeoLife can do in your life is closer than you think. And I'll end with this. And it's kind of the way that I end things these days is I truly believe that the best is yet to come. So don't give up on us now.